Thank you for joining this webinar, which is Learning During COVID-19, Challenges and Remedies. I am Shonam Rao, Student Success Specialist at the Center for Learning and Teaching Enhancement, in short, CLTE. With me are our co-hosts, Madhu Nand and Nalini Kumar. Joining us are our colleagues from Center Student Success Specialist, Ms. Angeline Lal, Ms. Pooja Chand, Mr. Mandeep Singh, Mr. Sadbir Singh, and our technologist, Mr. Muqtadir Ahad. We also have from the center, Mr. Tomasi Dambembula and Mr. Hayun Kim. Collaborating with us are our pair leaders, Krishant, Faranisese, Akeneta, and Alicia. Mr. Geraldson Anambat, who is an international student, will also be sharing light on the issues the pandemic has created for the international students in Fiji and abroad. We have with us Mr. Ketan Lal, the president of FNU Student Association. Our FNU counselors, Ms. Varsha Naidu and Ms. Kantamani, are also here today. We are privileged to have on board Ms. Sasha Ruggiero from the Communications Department at the British High Commission. She is a psychologist by profession. Ms. Sasha is not from FNU, but is here to provide her independent views on the situation. We also have with us user engagement librarian, Ms. Moshmin Lata, and Mr. Shivnesh Lal, Manager IT, Learning and Teaching, who is here to answer your IT-related questions. We are very much delighted to welcome the Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor James Pounder. Thank you, sir, for taking out your valuable time and availing yourself for this webinar. And we acknowledge the presence of our leader, the mastermind behind this webinar, the Associate Dean, Learning and Teaching Enhancement, Dr. Deepak Prasad. Once again, we, Team CLTE, would like to welcome each and everyone who is a part of this webinar. Dear students, as you join us, kindly requesting if you can provide to us your ID number in the chat feature, which is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you have questions during the discussion, you can use the Q&A feature, which is also located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Now, to pose your questions, and you can also use the upvote feature to upvote a question that you wanted to ask but has been asked by someone else, so that we avoid asking repeated questions. Now let's move to the webinar proper, looking at the objectives of this webinar. Now the purpose here is to identify the issues and challenges that you face during COVID-19 pandemic, provide the remedies for these issues, discuss ways in these challenges can be minimized, and also to connect you to the support services. So as we have our co-hosts, Madhu and Nalini here. So Madhu, how timely do you think this webinar is for our students?
Hi, Shonam and Nalini. Greetings to all the other panelists and attendees. I'm extremely delighted to be part of this webinar, which is being hosted at an apt time, especially when our students are facing challenges of remote learning and need all the necessary support that we at CLTE and FNU can provide. So through this webinar, we are trying to reach out to our students wherever you are, and we will do our best to assist you by answering any questions that you may have. So a warm welcome to each and every one of you to this webinar.
Thank you, Madhu. And now let's hear from Nalini. So Nalini, what is your message to the students who are attending this webinar?
Thank you, Shonam, and a very good afternoon to everybody. Students, we can understand the level of tension and stress you all must be going through doing online learning. while there are definitely some things to enjoy studying from the comfort of your homes and hostels, there may be you feel apprehensive about. At one moment, you were on campus having face-to-face classes with your lecturers, tutors, and friends. The next moment, you are left to study on your own. So things may seem like a roller coaster ride to you, but we at CLTE want to assure you that we are in this together. And that through this webinar, we are hoping to ease a lot of your stress and tension today. So thank you once again for joining us, and let's have a fruitful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Nalini. Now we are very much thankful to those students who have reached out to us with the issues they have been facing during this pandemic. We have the various platforms, and here we present to you some of those challenges and their remedies. Now, commonly, we have seen that most of our students are facing technical issues, such as not being able to afford data. For this, we would like to inform you that according to the FNU PR number 677, which is titled FNU Study Update on Assessments, Fiji National University has renewed its agreement with the internet service providers, Vodafone Fiji and Digicel Fiji, which will allow you to access the university websites www.fnu.ac.fj and Moodle platform free of charge. Now, these platforms are zero rated. Any site or web page that ends with the domain at fnu.ac.fj is zero rated. Please note that you will still need cellular data and internet connection to access the site, but these sites will not chew data. So you can view FNU online pages. You will be able to access resources, materials via the FNU page. You will be able to upload assignments and download lecture notes and other materials free of charge. However, live Zoom sessions such as this one will not be zero rated. Now, if you have any further questions relating to this, then this will be further clarified by Mr. Shivnesh Lal towards the end of the webinar. For students who are not having access to devices such as laptops, we would advise you to contact your college executive officers and academic officers and inform them of your situation. Later during the webinar, we will be providing you the contact information of your college executive officers and academic officers. However, there is no need to panic, as according to the same PR number 677, which has been emailed to all the students, it is there in your student email. It states that no student will be penalized for late submission. Unable to access your emails, if you are facing issues with your student emails, you can email your concerns to ICT Help Desk at fnu.ac.fj. There are also concerns regarding assessments, such as assignment submission, group work, whereby students are not able to reach or contact their group members, and ICT related issues in terms of assignment submission. Now for this, I would like to redirect you to FNU PR number 677, which states that all students will be allowed to complete their assessment with flexibility throughout the semester, quarter, and trimester. This ensures that no student will be penalized for late submissions. However, students, you will need to inform your lecturers if you are submitting your assignments late. Ensure that your lecturers are aware of your situation. The PR also states that any student who cannot submit their assignments by the end of the term will not be failed, but given an I grade. I here stands for in progress. Now, this I grade means that you can still submit your assessment by the term for the term throughout the year 2021 after informing your college deans and your lecturers. Please note that even in this case, you need to inform your college deans and your lecturers. If you can complete your assessment by the end of the term, but you fail, in this case, you will be given supplementary assessments without any fee or charges. Practical components that cannot be converted into an online mode will be done later, subject to clearance post-COVID-19. Now, please note, students, here that although there is flexibility on the university's part in regards to assignment submission, it is your responsibility to inform your respective teachers if you are going to submit your work late, so that they know of your situation. In addition, we encourage you to keep working on your assignments to the best of your ability. Even if you do not have ICT facilities, you might still be able to jot down a few points for your write-ups or do your assignments handwritten and be ready with it when you get your access to the necessary facilities such as your laptop, so that you are able to type and submit the assignment. However, this might not apply to everyone, as for some assessment activities, you will need internet. You might not be able to do anything without the internet. However, do whatever you can with whatever resources are available to you. If you're facing difficulty using Moodle in terms of submitting your assignments, then there is a Moodle and Turnitin guide on learning to learn online and guides to effective learning Moodle shells. Please note that you already have access to these Moodle shells, learning to learn online and guides to effective learning. When you go to these shells, you will find the Moodle and Turnitin guide. Issues regarding online study. If you are having queries regarding industrial attachment, school-based teacher practicums, and hospital practicums, please note that all industrial attachments are suspended as per government restrictions on this. A further decision on all industrial attachment for the future will be released through FNUPR, but till then, all attachments and practicums are suspended. Now we have some international students who have raised concern that they are late with their work due to quarantine since they joined late, and they find it difficult to catch up online. Now here I will request Nalini to explain how we can assist these students through PEL services.
Thank you, Swami, once again. Okay, so if you are an international student and you are lagging behind with your work, then what we will advise you to do is, first of all, you can provide your name, ID, and email to CLTE. What we will try to do is we will connect you to a leader of your course, and that PEL leader will buddy you with a local student who can help you to solve your problem. Now, if the unit or the course which you are doing is not supported, then what we can advise you here is to contact your lecturers and let them know of your problem. If in case you don't have the contact of your lecturers, then you can go through executive officers, administrative officers, and they will connect you to your lecturers. And your lecturers will be the best people to advise you on what is the best solution for your problem at this time. So these are the two advice we have for you, international students. Thank you.
Thank you, Nalini. Students, if you need to consult your lecturers for queries relating to your lectures and lecture notes, by now you would be having your lecturer's contact. If not, then you may find it in your course outlines. Or the other option is you can contact your college executive officers and academic officers to reach out to your lecturers. Your college executive officers and academic officers will help you solve your issues by connecting you to your lecturers so that your messages can be relayed to them. Once again, kindly reminding students, if you have joined us late, you can provide to us your ID numbers using the chat feature. And if you have questions, please use the Q&A feature to write your questions. Now I will request Madhu to elaborate on some important support services that are provided by FNU and CLTE.
Yes, Shonam. FNU has come up with another initiative to assist our students. Here is another PR item which was circulated via email, providing a text-free number 857. Please take note of the number 857 for Vodafone and Inc. users, where you can text your name, ID, program, and service you need, and help will be provided to you. This will be facilitated by the registrar's office. Please note that this service is only for local students. For international students who are abroad, you will have to resort to email to reach out for any services. These PR items have already been circulated via email. And to add on, FNU library services have continuously been upfront in assisting all its users during this pandemic. Students can now access e-resources using OPAC, Online Public Access Catalog. Farani Sese, one of our PEL leaders, will later elaborate on how to access e-resources from the library. For students holding on to library books, you do not need to worry about paying fines. Since as per FNU PR number 634, library will not apply any fines during such strict containment period. However, once you resume classes or once restriction is lifted, then you may go and return the library books to the FNU library nearest to you. And at this point, I would like to request and remind all students that you should make an attempt to read the PRs that you receive in your emails before you click the delete button, so that you do not miss out on important updates from FNU. So please ensure that you go through the PRs. Also take note of these contact information of the executive officers and academic officers of the various colleges. These are your points of contact for any issues relating to your courses. In other words, if you need to get in touch with your lecturers, then you will email or call the contact information provided for the executive officers and EOs of the various colleges, right? And a special note to CBHTS students that the executive officer will prefer Viber messages and calls from CBHTS students. This information will also be relayed to you post this webinar, for which we will need your ID numbers. So once again, kindly reminding students, if you have joined us late, you can provide to us your ID numbers using the chat feature. Thank you. And in addition to that, the following CLTE services are being provided online during the pandemic. So you can see displayed on the screen, we have enrichment courses, learning to learn online, English as a second language course. We have virtual workshops and events. We have GEL, which is Guides to Effective Learning, again in Moodle. We have one-on-one consultation, so you can book a consultation by emailing to CLTE, and our student success specialist will help you out with your issues. We have online PEL services and first year experience app. Now this is only for first year students. And we have English Language Hub. Again, you can email and book a session with the student success specialist for that. Our new service is Please Talanwa Karo. This is in Moodle, where you are encouraged to share and discuss about your challenges and your experiences in the process help each other find solutions. Right. So students will be enrolled to to this particular platform in Moodle. For more information on COVID-19 response from CLTE, you may visit the CLTE website displayed on the screen. Okay. Now I would like to request Nalini to introduce the Pell leaders who will now talk about their challenges and remedies.
Thank you so much, Madhu. As mentioned before, some of our Pell leaders have joined us, and we are grateful for that. And they are here to share their experiences of remote learning, and they will also shed some light on how they managed to overcome those challenges when they were studying from home last year. So we have 4 Pell leaders with us from different campuses. We have Alicia, who is a Pell leader at Pacifica campus. We have Kenetta, who is a Pell leader at Derek campus. We have also Feranice with us, a Pell leader at Nasinu campus. And we have Krishan Sami, who is our Pell alumnus. So I invite these Pell leaders to share their experiences with us all, beginning with Alicia. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, all. So I'm privileged to be sharing this platform with you all, as well as my fellow Pell leaders here. So I am Alicia Ali. I'm a second-year MBBS student at Pacifica campus, and I'm the Pell leader for MBBS 1 student. So today I'll be sharing the challenges that I faced when I was introduced to online learning, as well as their solutions. So firstly, as a medical student or as a MBBS student specifically, the challenge that I faced was that we missed out on a lot of classes that were very important for us to be having face-to-face. So for example, our clinical skill classes, where we used to see the patients, talk to the patients, and examine the patients. So this was really important, as it would really help us to gain hands-on experience. So what I would suggest is that you could include your family members instead. You would ask for their permission, and if they agree, you can include them in your learning process, so that at the end of the day, you do not lag out on hands-on experience. So whatever examination you are supposed to do in the clinical skill classes, you can try it out on them. We also used to miss out a lot on anatomy fixed resource sessions, which was also very important, as we looked at models that would really help us in our learning process. So what I would suggest there is that while you are staying at home, please make the most out of the resources that you have. Make the most out of the internet, right? You can use reliable resources, for example, the 3D model from Teach Me Anatomy. So you can use that model or substitute that virtual model in your learning process. Now, my final challenge was, of course, with Zoom sessions, there are a lot of internet connection problems, which I believe everybody would agree to. And because of this, sometimes you may miss out on classes entirely, or you may be late to classes. So in that situation, you can talk to your friends about it, right? And talk to your tutors, catch up with them. Let them know the problems you are facing and ask them whatever you missed out on. Please, this is not the time to be shy. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Our CLTE has amazing initiatives too. For example, study groups. So you and your friends can get together. Of course, the more the students, the merrier. And you can discuss whatever you don't understand. I believe personally that you will learn better and much more easily when you teach others. So you can use that study group to teach others whatever they don't understand, and they can teach you whatever you don't understand. And of course, you can also share your problems there. And if you're not able to solve that problem amongst your study group, you can, of course, use our CLTE's another initiative, a recent initiative actually, which is Please Talanwa Koro, which simply means please talk. So you can use this discussion forum to express your opinions and the problems that you may be facing. And that's all from my side. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Now, I would like to request Akaneta if she could share her voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia, and hello, everyone. I'm Akaneta Vatinitawake, and I'm a final year Bachelor of Civil Engineering student at Derek campus. One of the challenges I faced last year when learning shifted online was procrastination. So when working from home, you'll feel like delaying your work because there's no supervision for you, so you might be not as bothered to work, yeah? And you think there's plenty of time, so you'll tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. And one of the ways I was able to overcome this was by working in a place that motivates me to work. So for me, my study area at home is a place that has a lot of ventilation. Fresh air helps me concentrate and like keeps me awake. Another thing is managing your workload at home. So when working, do not sit for hours at your study table. The mentality of working long straight hours to get things done is ineffective for many reasons. And one I found was that after a certain amount of time, you lose interest or you zone out. And for me, I'd get distracted and start multitasking and stray away from the work that I originally planned to do. And in the end, I just have more incomplete work. So a technique I find very effective in tackling this is the Pomodoro technique. And it's simply dividing your work into achievable time slots and taking allocated breaks in between those slots. And there's a number of apps that integrate this technique. For example, there's Focus to Do, which is available on many devices. And there's a number of other ones that you can also find just by searching Pomodoro technique apps. These allow you to set your work slots and your breaks, schedule your tasks, and it times your work, telling you when to take your breaks, when to start working again. And an advantage of using these apps, apart from, of course, helping you stay on track and not feel overwhelmed, is that it prevents you from getting distracted by your phone. Another important thing as well is self-care. So your health is very important and you should always learn to take good care of yourself. So if you're at home, exercise if you can, do stretches, yoga, but very important to stay hydrated and eat on time. So if you have early classes, get up early, have good breakfast, and set alarms for yourself to remind you to drink water when working. And yeah, those were some of the ways I overcame procrastination and learned to manage my workload and self-care when learning in a pandemic. And I hope it can help you as well. And remember participants, Pomodoro technique apps, Focus to Do, this toggle track, etc. Search, download, work smart, not hard, and all the best with your studies. Thank you so much, Sea Light, for this opportunity. Over to you, Krishant.
Thank you, Akaneta, and good day, everyone. So when we talk about studying from home, we have to understand that you will be surrounded by many people, your mom and dad, your brothers and sisters, your dog, your cat, your phone will vibrate, messages will pop out. So how do you remain focused? That's what I faced last year when I was studying online. How do I remain focused while studying from home? So what I did was I studied when no one was around, meaning I slept during the day while my family was awake, and I studied during the night when my family was asleep. By doing so, I had no disturbance. Another thing I did was to stay organized. When I say that, I mean to note down every detail that your lecturers tell you to do. Note down what assignment is due when, how to do the assignment, what not to do, and how to submit the assignment. Also note down your lecture timetable. When is your next online lecture? When is your next online tutorials? Do not pile up your work. Whenever it is due, do it. By doing so, you'll have ample time to study and prepare for your online exam. Another thing I would encourage you to do is reach out. This is not the time to be shy. When you do not understand anything, email your lecturers, email your tutors, email your friends, call your friends, ask them for help, and I'm sure they will help you. Email CLTE. CLTE has many ways to help you. So they will provide help if you only ask. So that's all I want to encourage you with all. I wish you all the very best for your online learning. God bless. At this time, I give it to my friend Farah.
Thank you so much for that, Prashant. Bula Vinaka, everybody. My name is Faranisa Seratu, and I'm a final year law student. I'm also the PAL leader for Law 506. So just in addition to networking problems, while I am thankful for the partnership between FNU and the internet service providers for free access to FNU pages, in my case, I would sometimes need like a faster, a stronger, as well as a stable network to access my 2-hour online test before that window, just automatically closes on me. Or even online Zoom sessions. So guys, I'm not trying to promote any internet service provider, but where I live, digital works for me. $10 for a whole month for a 40 GB, for me, that's a doable thing. And so if your network is still playing up, you can easily chat with one of their online agents from your phone, or even call 124. And they will reset your internet connection from their end. Trust me, it works. Now, if you have no laptop, now is really not the time to be shying away from your extended families, your relatives, your friends. Just ask for help. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are willing to help you in your education endeavors. When it comes to personal, you might find that you're a little bit demotivated, you're feeling a little bit stressed, or just, a feeling of being a little bit overwhelmed. So it's good to create chat groups. So I'm the PAL leader for Law 506. And so while at first it was just to remind people of our face-to-face PAL session times, it has now also become a safe learning space. It has also become a safe space for just friendship, of exchanging ideas, and just a simple hi, how you guys doing? This helps keep people connected and motivated, and it definitely helps. Having this group makes it easier for students to share information, and sometimes for students it might be a little bit harder for them to ask on Zoom, certain things like for the resources that they might need for the assessments. So having this group helps. If you have any difficulties in doing your assessment, then please just reach out to your lecturers and your coordinators. If you are in a remote area and you can't get to them, please let a peer or a friend know and just ask them to give your lecturer or your coordinator the heads up. Now, if you're looking for credible sources, in terms of looking for credible sources, as an academic institution for higher learning, getting credible sources is important, and we all learned that from LNG 501. So we can access our FNU library from home. If you could just put the poster up. So this on the screen right here is a step-by-step process of how to access online library catalogs. So you type in that link, which is on your screen, HTTP, yep, all that, and then press enter, and then this will pop up. In your username, you type your ID as well as @student.fnu.ac.fj. So just an example could be S2018-000-924 @student.fnu.ac.fj. So that's what your username is going to look like. In your password, you will use the same one that you use for Moodle, and then you just log in. And then you have a list of all the online catalogs that you can access. I hope that has helped. And if you have difficulties in signing in with your password, then just quickly send an email to the librarians or the IT department, and they'll definitely help. Vinaka, for your time, and Godspeed. Have a great semester, guys.
Thank you, dear PAL leaders, for sharing so many great tips with our participants. Dear participants, once again, if you are facing similar situations, similar challenges, then there you go. You have so many avenues to resort to, and you will surely get help. And in case you have further questions on what they have just deliberated, then you can ask them towards the end of this webinar. Now, moving on, we also have an international student with us who would share with us the perspective of some of the international students on the current situation. I welcome you, Mr. Geraldson.
I think Mr. Geraldson is having some connectivity issues, so probably he can join us later on.
Okay, then we'll move on. Thank you, Shonam.
Thank you, Nalini. So we will move on. We would now like to invite the President FNU Student Association, Mr. Ketan Lal. And here we would also like to acknowledge and thank the efforts of FNU SA in preparing the 650 plus snack packs and food ration packs for the students who are affected in the hostels in the Central Division. Thank you so much, and welcome, Mr. Ketan Lal.
Thank you, Silai. I think it's a very important opportunity for FNSA to be part of this important Zoom session and webinar. First of all, thank you, students, for joining in and supporting the university in promoting quality education. I think there's a lot of things that has been discussed today by PAL leaders and also staffs here. that the university is trying its level best. And I think what FNUSA is, we are basically providing immense support to the university in terms of hands-on information to the University Emergency Senate Committee, or so forth, other important committees. I think I need to acknowledge the Pro Vice Chancellor Learning Teaching, who's also present in this Zoom session. I think it's because of the foundations laid by the PVCLNT in the 2020 COVID session, where it was Fiji faced COVID for the first time. And I think with the leadership of the PVCLNT at the position of acting Vice Chancellor, he took us out of those troubling waters. And FNU was transitioning. We were transiting into a online phase. Most of our courses are not online. FNU is trying its best to get online courses up and running. And I think that was a training ground for FNU to test our online platforms. I've heard that students are talking about attachment and issues with regards to the attachment. FNSA is aware, and we have been in contact with VC. We have meetings on Monday and on Thursdays with the Vice Chancellor, and we have raised the matter with regards to attachment, and we have asked the university to suspend the attachment criteria for students and for certain programs, and for practicals, or attachment, if they can have online simulations on attachments or practicals. These are some of the ideas we have asked the university to pursue. Apart from that, the association has linked contacts with students who are in hostel, and if students are facing any issue, as everyone has pointed out, we have allocated staffs and services provided by the university, where students can definitely opt for. Apart from that, I think FNUSA is here to listen and support the university. We released a joint statement with the Vice Chancellor yesterday, and I think it answers most questions for students. We need to acknowledge the university's efforts in making sure that everyone in FNU receives the same level of education, even in this online platform, and those lecturers who are working from home. I understand we have a very bigger issue, which is network connectivity. What FNSA has recommended the university, especially the direct ICT, provide us with the data that is data in the sense of information on which areas their network is good and which areas their network is not bad. It's not a humiliation or defamation of the network providers, but we'll be able to advise students. If you are on Vodafone in Nakasi, and Nakasi does not have a good data connectivity for Vodafone, but Digicel have. We recommend students, if you can change your network to Digicel. So we are trying to also look at those types of ideas and help students. Apart from that, we have students who are in hostel, and I think they are trying. It's not their fault they're in hostel right now. It's because they cannot move around, and FNUSA has provided refreshments packs, snack packs in the I think it was last week. And also we were able to provide rations to private students with the help of the Minister for Education. And I think we will be providing more support in coming days. Our Department of Planning is very much trying to plan out things, what we can do during this pandemic. Apart from that, I'm very much looking forward to hearing everyone's questions or views or recommendations for FNSA. We're here to listen to you. We're here to help you, and I understand we will have issues, and we'll try to work with the university and resolve them. And CLTE is doing a very good job, and I'm recommending CLTE if you can continue these sessions more and more, or over the coming months as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ketanlal, for the support you have been providing to the university and to the students, especially in such pressing times when, especially our students in the remote areas and those in the hostels, they are the ones who need most of our support. Thank you a lot for the great work that FNUSA is doing. And it's true that a situation like this can have a drastic impact on our mental health and the mental health of our students. Hence, I would like to invite our counselors, Ms. Varsha Naidu and Ms. Kantamani, to speak about the counseling services that they have for the students.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Councillor Kanta. I think Varsha has not been able to connect. She has some connectivity issues. So am I loud and clear? Shonam, are you able to hear me properly?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Okay. I'd like to thank the CLTE for this invitation. I think it's the first time we have come on board, and I acknowledge the presence of our Vice Chancellor and FNUSA President, and the students who have PAL leaders who have shared, and the students who have stepped up to be on the forum. Bravo to you. Okay, basically when we have any challenges, our mental health is affected. And the counseling services we would like to approach from this angle of COVID-19 and the mental health. So we will have a brief definition on mental health, and then how an outer event like COVID-19 can become a mental health issue, and how ready are you, or any one of us, for this challenge, and accessing help through counseling services. So can we have the next slide, please? Okay, mental health in a brief. Usually most people associate mental health with stigma and it's kind of mental illness. It's not about mental illness. It's about our ability to cope and do things in a normal way. But if events like being cut off from the lecture rooms, being cut off from the lecturers and the peers, and the learning environment where we are used to and comfortable with, can cause worry, anxiety, and for many students they will be overwhelmed as what to do with online learning. Not everybody is able to just slip into it. Some of us can, but not many of us. And then many students have also exited from hostel. They have gone back to their homes come the beginning of their mid-semester, that 1 week break. And then on 19th, that many of them moved out. I have been talking to some students, and believe me, some are in villages in Netisiri, very rural and remote. And he was sitting in one of the tallow patches, fields, that's where they get the internet they receive. So these are some of the challenges of students out there. And mental health is predicted by WHO, and they are asserting it will be a very big challenge. So I have picked out there some of those challenges. If you are not able to concentrate, if your internet, you lose internet in the middle of an online lecture or listening to a recording, and then now assignment is due, these things do have an impact on our mental, the ways we respond to it. So that doesn't mean we are mentally ill. That's another issue altogether, right? So just normalize this. Can we have another slide? Thank you. Okay. How can an outer event become a mental health issue? Here we are referring to COVID-19. It's something that we were not familiar with at all last year, but this year we are familiar with it. We have been exposed to, but not in the way it is happening now as a community transmission. So there is perceived threat there coming out of the house mingling and the bombardment of the information that comes in the media, and that can overwhelm us. So when such things happen, we personally experience things like loss of choice to go out, choice to access better internet sources, and choice to go and have face-to-face group discussions, and many other personal choices, and loss of predictability, what is going to happen next. All of us are in that. Are the numbers going to climb, or How are we going to contain all these things? Are we going back to our face-to-face classes? So this loss of predictability, we can't predict the future. And then we are powerless to have any control over such events. So many students would be feeling those experiences there. And it has an impact as we get stressed, anxiety, even trauma related as well. Some students, there are students who might be trapped in their homes where they have been abused or are being abused. So some of these things I'm just touching on that can be happening in the students' life apart from their learning challenges. There are some social and emotional challenges they might experience. So we are there as counseling services to address and help you and assist you in totality. Can we go on to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, this slide is on the protective factors, sorry. The main question is how ready are we? As students on the learning platform, as FNU staff on the teaching and support platform, how ready are we for this change? So some of those, I've broken it down into 3 levels, individual levels. The role we play in what do we know? What is our sense of purpose? Prioritizing. I'm glad that the PAL leaders had shared about doing what you need to do and the timing that is best suited to them. So the sense of purpose, okay, what can I do for the day? How am I going to arrange my day? What are my commitments? What is more important than the others? And if I have a problem, how can I solve it? Who can solve it? Who else can help? My peers can help. I can call, I can email, or I can seek out support of somebody I'm close to. Relational skills is to do with relationships. Some students might be having good relationships with their siblings, parents, or with their peers. Even some of them, students might be in relationship as in partner relationship. So these are some of the skills or platforms where you can seek support. These can be protective factors for you when you seek out at individual level. Relationship level, it's basically many students who are staying with parents. It's the support of the parents, as it was spoken by the leaders. The parents also are looking forward to share the learning space. I think this is a very good opportunity for many parents to come on that learning platform and together with their children, learn and understand their challenges as well as how they can support their children when they are learning there. So the competencies means the support, basically. And I think it was raised by the first PAL leader that more involvement with parenting and positive peers, meaning people who are there for you, your age group, your course mates, your people that share out there. It can, they can be very helpful. You seek out your positive. These are the people who are always have a growth mindset. If this doesn't happen, how can we do it another way? Okay, how can we improve? Their attitude is about growth. So these peers are good to hang around with and keep contacting them. It doesn't have to be their best friend, but you admire them, you look upon them, they are in control, they go about their learning. So you can always contact and keep in touch in those perspectives. Second is our community, the learning environment. Here we represent mostly their community as well, how we keep in touch with them, what's happening out there, how can we help, and how can we get other people to help you. Like this morning, I had a regional student. He was feeling cut off, and it was most important to connect him to his EO, connect him to the person who's handling the hostel, and also connect him to the officer who is handling the regional students. And one of the issues I raised, he was raised his fears about not being vaccinated. And that was actually, he was worried, anxious about it. How can I go out? And vaccination was only for the Fiji citizens. So that was an issue that raised. And probably if NILSA president can also follow that up with the relevant officers about vaccination for our international and regional students. And the Ministry of Health is also giving out correct and factual information out there. So the correct information helps us to stabilize the situation, not to get overwhelmed by the information. You be selective where you get the reliable and factual information. And understanding of this pandemic will help us stabilize more and have a more confidence in us that we can handle it. Do not listen to rumors, do not listen to bloated. So what's happening in the community is look at the people who's giving, who's information to you, how important it is, how reliable, how supportive, is it going to be fruitful to you? So you select people in the community who will be useful to you in these times and keep those connections going and drop those that is going to add to your anxiety and worry. So you be alert of what's happening around you, be safe, use the safety measures, and be knowledgeable, okay? As I have said, what is going on about this pandemic? How to listen for the facts, okay? And how are you going to respond? Are you going to say, okay, I'm staying at home or it's not in my area, so I'm safe, I can go out? So it's your attitude that will matter most at this time. And what services are available? Look at those toll-free lines and links and you keep it handy so you can access it. Then you have legal obligations as well. This might come in when you need some emergency attention. So just to say, we do have access to medical help and all others. And like all the leaders have said, be ready, ask and seek help. There's no harm in asking for help. We all need, even counselors need help. Everybody else needs help. So ask around, it's a health issue. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, we have counseling services there, flyer. You may have seen it in your FNUPRs. So before you click on that delete button, you could just take note of the counselors and other helplines available to you. Counseling is confidential. We do not share the information. It's confidential and non-judgmental. We do not judge you or anyone. Anyone can say anything, even if students who have broken rules, and we do not judge them. It's about having positive regard for the clients and help them from where they are skidding in one bog, one muddy area, to move out and continue life as normal and cope with things that's going on. And we also conduct a Zoom counseling for students who have access to Zoom or can or agree to. And we are also using telephone counseling for many students. So during the pandemic, we are still in touch. So if you can, if you want to, our contacts are there. Thank you. Okay, somebody mentioned on procrastination. I'll quickly just mention, we all have 24 hours, every one of us. Just plan your 24 hours. What time you are going to sleep, what time will be your online learning, and what time will you spend on your assignment, what time will you spend with your friends, chatting or social media and your other entertainment? So if you plan your 24 hours that best suits you, you keep to that routine every day, and then you'll find there's consistency, there's stability, and you will know what is coming next. And you will feel organized. I use that time wheel for most of my clients, and it works. They always have given me that now I understand. I have to use that time management well. Thank you. And our last slide after this is thank you. This Alma, we had launched that last year during Mental Health Month. And it's like similar to what CLTE has introducing about Talanoa. So ask, listen, motivate, and ask again. If your people are struggling, ask them. Even if they are not showing any sense, just ask them, hi, how are you? Would you like some help? Listen. The best thing is to listen, then motivate them to seek help. And when you ask again how things are now, is it going better? So this ALMA initiative is for the students to use it among the peers. It's just a social courtesy and a social commitment, like consent to how we are doing. So that's from us counselor services, and students can always ask questions during the end of webinar. I'll be here to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Kantamani, for that comprehensive presentation. We now invite someone who is not from FNU but has joined us to share her independent opinion, Ms. Shasha Ruggiero. She is from the Communications Department at the British High Commission and is a psychologist by profession. We invite you, Ms. Shasha, to provide your expert advice and your overall viewpoint on the situation.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I was particularly impressed by the PAL leaders and what they had to say. I just want to pick out a few of the points that they said and elaborate a little bit because they had some excellent points. So, lady spoke about how, if you don't have access to patients and you want to do clinical practice, maybe you should do that with your parents or your family members. I think, well, not I think, it's been psychologically proven that, sorry, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, okay. So it's been psychologically proven that testing with people, for example, getting your family members to test you on things and basically trying to teach them simple concepts really enhances memory and learning. And also, sometimes, our parents, our siblings, they don't understand what studying is, the importance of it. So basically interacting with them and maybe, getting your family to test material or discussing with them on an essay topic can really help them feel engaged and help them to better understand what you might be going through. And this can help because, of course, we live in households with lots of people, like you guys said, and animals and siblings and everything. And there's going to be talking, there's going to be the television on, there's going to be bickering, chatting in the kitchen, chopping things, vacuuming, sweeping, a lot of things. So if they're better able to understand the complexity, the detail of what studying is, they'll be a little bit more sympathetic. So it might be easier to get them to say, guys, I know everything's important. We need to do our chores. Cooking needs to get done. We need to sweep, but we need to please, so that our time and effort doesn't go to waste. Can we, for 2 hours a day from this time and this time, please don't bother me. I really need to study. I need to get this done. And then again, from this time to this time, scheduling things is important. The second PAL leader spoke about the Pomodoro Method, which is also a really good idea. So basically, your brain can't focus for very long. 25 minutes is a good amount of time to study before taking a 5-minute break. And what's interesting is you think, some people think today I'll just study, the whole day on this topic. But actually our brains work better if we change topics. So for the first 25 minutes, you study, I don't know, one subject. And then the next 25 minutes, you should switch to a different one. For some reason, it helps the connectivity in our brain. It helps build linkages. So another really important topic for enhancing our learning is linkages. If you can find a way to make what you're learning integrate with your everyday life. For example, if you're learning about civil engineering or something like that, you should find a way to integrate those ideas in your everyday life. So civil engineering or planning, find a way to say, oh, link that with maybe the way you plan your garden, or find a way to link that with something you do in your everyday life, and your brain will be able to learn things a lot easier. You'll find you remember it better and things connect well. So I have a few other topics that I just wanted to get quickly across. And that is, of course, we don't want to mention it, but it's pandemic stress and anxiety. We're all anxious, and that is totally normal. But focusing on that anxiety is not productive. We can feel like we have no control and we're powerless, and our brain doesn't like that. So strangely, studying and having something you can focus on and something you can control, which is the way you study, is actually a good thing. If you have nothing to focus on, if you're sitting at home and you have too much free time on your hands, the anxiety can get the better of you. Studying, of course, can be very, I don't want to say boring, but it can get dull. And I say that as someone who, I study a lot too. So, I'm pursuing a PhD. So yeah, there's a lot of studying, but something that really helps a lot of people all over the world is what's called StudyGram. So it sounds a little bit uncool, but it's basically everybody gets on, I don't know, Instagram, they get on YouTube, and they make all these posts about how nice can you set out your notes. Just type it into Instagram and you'll see thousands of pictures on StudyGram. And it's basically inspiring students to set out their notes in smarter ways, prettier ways, more interesting ways. And it sounds like it wouldn't be interesting, but just look it up, look up StudyGram. And I think that it's a really interesting way to motivate yourself to be more inclined to set out your learning, to spend more time on that note taking. And what's funny is it's been psychologically proven through many peer-reviewed studies that if you take notes by hand, you remember it better. So maybe we need to all start doing a little bit of StudyGram and laying out our notes in the most efficient, interesting, pretty, whatever you're going for kind of aesthetic way. And that'll help us focus on basically what we're studying. And it'll give a little bit more structure to our lives too, because dwelling on the anxiety around COVID-19 is not going to help any of us, trust me. So I just took a few dot points here. I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss anything. Of course, everything that the counselor content went over is fantastic, and you should definitely follow through with that. It sounds really overrated and cliche, but deep breathing really does help. And mindfulness. There's a lot of really good apps for that. Of course, try and exercise for at least 30 minutes to an hour a day. because of course, exercise helps your brain work better. Try not to multitask. So it's also been psychologically proven that multitasking is not good. You can't focus on two things with the same kind of efficiency. It's not possible. You won't retain that information. So try not to have, I don't know, the TV going, trying to cook something, trying to study, trying to reply to your text messages all in one go. It's not good. It seems like we can get everything done and it seems like it'll keep it more interesting, but your brain doesn't like to function that way. And of course, something else that they mentioned that I think is really, really important is connectivity. So it's easy to feel like we're completely alone, but we're not. All of us here and in many countries around the world are studying online. And the truth is, we're privileged. There are many people who would love to be in this position and who aren't able to. So it's difficult, it's tricky, it's stressful, but we have to maintain a sense of gratitude because we are lucky. And so, you know, it's really good to maintain a sense of connectivity with your peers. Hold Zoom study groups. Just do it. Even if you don't talk that much in the study group, just having a sense of being in this together, you're all on Zoom. You're like, okay, let's put our heads down and study for like 30 minutes and then we'll discuss the topic together. It's really beneficial. And it helps you have a sense of not being isolated. Isolation is not good for your mental health. It's not good for stress or anxiety. So just keep in touch with people, even if you feel like, you know, you don't really want to, or you're tired, or you don't know what to say. It's always good to reach out because chances are you'll definitely feel better. And lastly, I just want to end on something you might find really funny, but laughter therapy. It sounds stupid, and actually you'll look stupid, but for 5 to 10 minutes a day, try and sit by yourself or try and convince the rest of your family to do it with you. Sit around the dining table, sit around the living room, and just try to laugh, literally at nothing. Force yourself to laugh, maybe at each other's faces for 5 minutes straight. It is incredibly good for your brain, for leveling out and, you know, the neurotransmitters in your brain, your hormone levels. It lowers cortisol and stress levels. It's really, really good for you. You guys will look insane, but I promise you'll feel better. And it's incredibly good for the way your brain works and for neurotransmitter levels of keeping it at reasonable levels so that you don't have increased stress, anxiety. It'll help you de-stress. It'll help you relax. It'll help you study better. It'll help you sleep better. Just look at each other for 5 minutes a day and force yourself to laugh for 5 minutes straight. Please try it. And I don't know, let us know how it goes on Instagram. Maybe you can hashtag laughter therapy, and I'll be sure to keep an eye out for the hashtag. Thank you guys so much for everything. And I'm sending you my best wishes because of course I'm here in this together with you. You know, let's study, let's do it. Let's make it worth our time, worth our effort. The world will carry on after this and we'll be needing that education. So let's make the most of it. Let's make the most of this time at home and do our very best. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Ms. Shasha, for your enlightening deliberation. I'm sure we all go through anxiety, anxiousness, and it is a common issue among students as well. Also on the importance of motivation, note-taking, deep breathing, reaching out, and of course, laughing and being happy. So I'm sure we all learned a lot from your presentation. Thank you so much. I would like to now request our Pro Vice Chancellor, Learning and Teaching, Professor James Pounder, to say a few words. Professor Pounder.
Thank you, Madhu. Thank you very much. Thank you all. I was just reflecting on what was being said just now by everybody, and a few things came to me which I think I could share with you. The first thing I want to say is that one of the things that does happen during this time is that, and we experienced this the first time round, was that when you're having difficulties, let's say maybe with connectivity, maybe with not having a device or what have you, when you do try and get in touch with the colleges, you may not know who to get in touch with. Now, I think that's being clarified in this particular seminar, this workshop here. The EO is a good port of call, that the EO has connections with everybody in that particular college. But also, I want to just share with you, excuse me, that we had a meeting a couple of days ago, and Ketan was in there, and the point was made that college deans should make sure that for every single program, there is a point of contact. So they're making sure that if you have a problem with a course in a program, and we have a number of different programs in all of the colleges, that you know who to get in touch with that for that particular course in that particular program. We have a sort of people who are in charge of the programs, and I did ask the college deans to specify by name who they would be, and I'll reinforce that next time I'm in a meeting with them. I'll reinforce that point because I think it's important. I think I want to make another few points too. I think you need to bear in mind, students, that you have responsibility for your own learning. You're not totally dependent on the faculty member. So your future and your learning is really under your control. So when you find yourself in a situation where you don't have the faculty in front of you and so on, and even if you find yourself in a situation where you haven't got connectivity or you haven't got a device or what have you, bear in mind that you are the person that's going to determine your future. The responsibility is yours, and that might mean your responsibility is to actually make sure that you complain about the situation you're in and make sure action is taken. People who who will come forth and show interest in the fact that they're having problems with their education, that is not a black mark against you. I've been a faculty member for many, many years, and I want to say to you that if you show interest, even if that interest is something to do with, I couldn't do this because I hadn't got connectivity, can you please help me to do this, do that, the other? That is seen as a positive, not a negative. And I sometimes think that students think that if they have problems and have issues, something to do with their competence. It is not. It is showing interest in wanting to achieve the results because you're taking responsibility for your own learning, and it's a positive as far as the university is concerned and the colleges are concerned. So bear that in mind. Making your voice heard is not a negative, it's a positive. I'm just thinking about this. I went through the whole of what they call SARS when I was in Hong Kong. So this is my second experience of this, although it wasn't quite as restrictive in Hong Kong with SARS, but we still had 8 months worth of a semi-lockdown type situation. So this is my second stint at this. And on top of that, I was just thinking about, working alone. Now you're used to working with fellow students and so on, either, in a classroom situation, or maybe in Moodle you work on the sort of, the discussion forums and so on. But you may find yourself alone because of connectivity problems, having to handwrite stuff or whatever it happens to be. And I wanted to talk, just to say something about this because, I did a couple of PhDs in my maybe I'm a masochist or something like that, but I did a couple of PhDs for my sins. And I spent many, many days working alone, producing the dissertations and so on and so forth. And I think it's important. Someone was talking about managing the time and keeping motivated. I think Shashi was talking about keeping it, variety and so on. But I think you also need to remember to give yourself a reward. I always worked on the basis that it was an hour's worth of work and maybe 10 minutes of a reward. I might do sort of an hour's worth of work and then do something totally unrelated to the study I was doing. And that was my reward. So all the time I was working towards the reward. If I can get through this hour, I've got a reward at the end of it. So give yourselves little rewards in between your study. It does help. That reward may be playing a game on the internet, maybe anything, maybe a YouTube video, whatever it happens to be. But don't make it too long, but say 15 minutes or so of a reward and then get back to it. That's important. I want to also assure you that whilst you may have connectivity, your connectivity may be weak. And also, your device might not be as you would like it. Now, we are aware that with FNU, that the ability to come on campus, to be able to work online, is something that is important. And because you're not able to come on campus, we can understand that you may not be able to work online. So it's not just a case of, oh, I've got connectivity in a village. It's a weak signal, but I've got it and I have a device. Oh, but I'm waiting for ages before I can get any sort of connectivity whatsoever. We understand that. And so we do understand that there is sometimes a need for someone who seems to have everything going for them in terms of connectivity in a device to be on campus. If you are someone who needs to be on campus to work online, you must make that known to either the EO or the person who is designated to look after your program, because that then gives us a way of dealing with you to enable you to be successful and to get help with your studies. The final point I wanted to make was about this idea, which was brought up by the counselling service, is about how to sort of maintain a positive view, because in isolation, well, I'm just talking about my own situation. I mean, I'm like you. I'm away from the office. I'm in my currently I'm in my hotel room. I'm in the office. I don't find it as easy to keep motivated as I would if I were in the office. And I've got more time on my hands because a lot of my job was dealing with people face to face. I do deal online, but it's not as much. And so I've got more time on my hands. So, I keep busy. I have to keep busy. And the idea of having a discipline, setting out your day is what I do. And I make sure that I finish like if I finish maybe 6 o'clock, 5:30, what have you, I make sure I work up to that time. So it's like a normal day. But something which is very easy to fall into, oh, well, I'm online now or I've got no meetings. So, I'll not bother getting, I'll just slob about in my pajamas or, I'll not bother sort of having a shower and all this type of stuff. It happens. It's a temptation because you're not going out. My experience of this is get ready as if you are going to the office. I'm not saying you have to wear a suit or anything like that, but get ready as if you were going to the office. Wear the type of clothes you would wear if you were going into the classroom or what have you. Because when you do that, it psychologically gives you a lift. And then you can actually function better in that way. If I'm on a Zoom meeting, and there's a lot of them, I'm on a lot of them, I always make sure I've got my work outfit on. My work outfit is get very casual. It's like this, but it's just as if I was in the office, and it helps. So just think about that, because it's now your responsibility to keep yourself motivated, to be responsible for your own learning, to make sure you're connecting with the colleges wherever you can if you're having difficulties, and to also maintain a positive attitude. So those few things I just wanted to add to this, by the way, extremely useful, this useful forum. I think that this forum is not only useful, and I'm going to put this out to Deepak and his team, not only useful for the students, but I think it's useful for the students' parents too. It might be, if it's possible, it might be an idea to try and produce something of this nature for the parents of the students, so they can understand the type of environment that their young people are trying to work in and what it means to study. So just putting that out as an idea. That's enough from me. I can talk forever, so I'm not going to talk anymore. So thank you so much for the invitation, and I think it's a very worthwhile forum, and hope that there will be more of them. So thank you, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Professor Pounder, for your contribution and for sharing with us some important points, especially emphasizing on the need to contact the right people to reach your lecturers. And yes, students need to take responsibility of their learning. So thank you so much. And at this point, I would like to thank all the panelists for their viewpoints and expertise. And I now open this forum for questions. Students, you may ask any questions that were not addressed during the discussion. Please note that we might not be able to provide all the answers to all your questions right now. However, if there are any questions posed for which we need to liaise with the other authorities or departments at the university, we will note the questions down and get back to you with the right answers within a week's time. You can either put the questions on Q&A, and if you need to speak, please use the raise hand feature.
Bulubinaka. My name is James Kuroi Tumbuna. I'm joining you via Zoom all the way from Tailewu in my village. I really like the presentation by the past presenters, and I'd like to pay a special note to FNUAC. I know they've been doing a very marvelous job in delivering the needs of the students, especially to those students who are under lockdown, who are on campus at the various resident places. And I also like to thank Professor James for what he had shared with us, and also to our two counselors. My question is regarding this current situation that we are in, especially I've been following some of our counselors very closely. I happened to come across one case that was that happened last night. I haven't get to the point where I'm able to familiarize myself with the particulars or the details of the story, but it was regarding mental health issues and some of the issues that were being highlighted by our counselors. And I do thank them for the work. And I also thank the university for taking so much, taking the initiative on its own to be able to help the student out. And my question is, I'm so sorry for speaking, are there any issues to realistically be able to be there? There's a total difference when we converse or we communicate via social media or via the platform that we have now, such as this. But is there any other strategy that you guys have put in place that these lecturers, these counselors can sometime pay a visit? God forbid if this lockdown prolongs, or it might take a while, I say 2 months, something like that. Is there any future strategies? Does the university have any strategy put in place for these some of these counselors to pay a visit to, especially some of the most, I'd say, our vulnerable students who are in hostel? They are there isolated, and I speak because I am a hostel student, and I know what life is like in hostel on campus. So are there any strategy in place to have them pay a visit there? I understand we do have a limitation due to our Fijian government, which is they're doing a very remarkable job, but I'd say they can also, I say, they'll allow for such, especially when we're dealing with our students. That's all, Naka.
Thank you, James. I think Ketan, our FNUSA president, wants to say something.
Yes, thank you, Madhu, and thank you, James, for raising that important issue. I would say it's an issue or a concern for a student. And I understand you're also the FNE Council undergraduate rep for FNE students. FNUSA has suggested this to the Vice Chancellor in our weekly meeting, that the university should look at avenues to use or avenues such as YLSC. I hope most of you know what YLSC is a government platform where government is, it's a government subsidiary platform or something like that, where we get free channels for people, and people who are earning less, they can also buy and use that communication channel. And I think what I was explaining to BC was that can FNU get a channel, a free channel on that platform, and can we promote certain things the university is doing? And for example, we can provide free education such as counseling, such as what CLTE is doing, all these kind of things, free programs for the citizens of Fiji, not only FNU students, but citizens in general. So we can also provide English support, a Mets hub on television. So we can use this platform that is already there, and that's one strategy that we have placed. But right now, due to the containment zones and this COVID pandemic, I think movement strategy will not be able to work at this moment. So we may try and use opportunities like YLSC, and we can ask Digital Fiji to step in, or even we can ask government to provide us that opportunity. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ketan.
Thank you, Ketan.
I think Madam Kanta Mani wants to say something.
Okay, can I respond to that? James said, currently we are working with the hostel students, the hostel staff. So they have given us the list of hostel students. So what we have been doing is that we are calling students. I was calling students in the hostel, as well as the hostel students who have vacated and gone back home, and especially they are living in remote areas, as per their home addresses. So, but we then focused on that they are hostel staff, their house master, house mistress, they have these programs running with them. So they give us a daily feedback about students' well-being. That is one where I can explain how we are still connected to the hostel students. And we are also having Zoom meetings with the hostel staff in all the campuses. They have a separate days scheduled for those students. So we also have that meetings with them to help identify the students' needs. If they need psychosocial support, if they need any needs, they can talk about it or raise it. But I have been calling students. The other day, I called yesterday 20 students to see if they are okay. And most of them I'm focusing on the rural students. But many of the addresses, context they have given, the mobile is for many is not the current one. It belongs to, it doesn't function. So we have those things happening as our part of this COVID plan. But one thing I'd like to, as a counselor, that our hostel accommodation is designed not like, we don't create it like a home environment where they don't have an access to, like the president said, like while accessibility of Walesi, a comfortable lounge there where they can come and sit and watch, have some time out. It's very limited to their rooms. So the whole environment, maybe we need to relook at it, how the accommodation is set up. Is it too outmoded? Or can we put in some refreshing changes for students to come in? Among the hostel students, we must understand that our students are not coming from the same background. We have maritime students. When they come in for the first time, they miss their sea, they miss their food. And they are actually not assisted in adjusting. They just adjust. So our orientation for counseling services is so important to talk to these students. The provinces they come from, their dialects, they have some of the cultural practices. When they first time come to the mainland, then it says some clashes. So probably it would be good to relook at that aspect of what we are providing. But as far as our students are concerned, I have the contacts, I contact them, and so are other counselors. So we also have hostel students, it's quite a big number. So we are reliant on the hostel staff to give us as much information as possible.
Thank you, Madam Kanta. We have a question for Mr. Shivanesh Lal. One of the students has posted, he cannot access his email account and he needs some help with that. Mr. Shivanesh Lal?
Hi, yes, Madhu, I'm here. We actually need to, is that the question in the Q&A section? Is that one you're referring to?
Yes, yes, that's the one.
Yeah, so this person here has, he doesn't have a node where he can actually access the email. So I think in the beginning, someone mentioned that you can reach out to your college sections to arrange yourself a PC or a device where you can continue with your learning and learning engagements. So yeah, I think if that can be, if that person can reach out to the respective college section to assign him or her a laptop or a PC to assist.
Thank you, Mr. Lal. Professor Pounder?
Yeah, this is exactly. I'm looking at the question and answer. This is an anonymous attendee, according to this. That's exactly the point I'm making. First of all, if you've got a problem like this, you don't need to be anonymous. It's not something which is held against you because you have a problem. You've got a genuine problem. And secondly, if you, whatever college you attend, there is an executive officer for every college who is like the right-hand person of the dean. That person you need to get in touch with, and that person will make sure that there is action taken. So could I suggest that that's the first port of call? This is very much to do with why we're here. How do you get this access? I was talking about the fact that problems in the first round, problems were there and people didn't know who to get in touch with. You have actually been given a list here of those EOs who are responsible for each to each of the college deans. That's the person you need to get in touch with, and they will then take action. And if they don't take action, then I'm here too. You let me know too, and I will make sure action is taken. So I want to leave it at that.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Ketan Lal.
I think students can also email FNESA if you are facing any difficulty. Our email address, general inquiry email address is info@fnesa.com.fj. I can type it down somewhere where every participant can see. But if you're facing any issues, any difficulty with regards to your lecturers, your Zoom classes are not attended by lecturers on time, you can directly liaise or directly raise your concerns to us, or you can also use the PVC Learning Teachings platform, which is the suggestion scheme. It's also very effective. You can also use the platform. But yes, as PVC said, that the university is here. So if and there are EOs in different colleges, and if they are not listening to you, or one of the staffs are not responding to your emails, you can always tell FNES and we can push it from our end. Thank you.
Thank you, Ketan. Dr. Deepak Prasad would like to say something.
Yes, okay, let's not forget about that free texting platform that we have. It is, can someone remind me of that number?
857.
857. So let's not forget about the texting platform that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have a question from an attendee, Mandeep. We can see a raised hand.
Madam, Madam, it's me again. First, I would like to take this time to thank the PVC, office of the PVC, and also its Center for Learning and Teaching Enhancement, and of course our Fiji National University. On the first day of this lockdown, I'm locked away here in the village in Telia. One of the things there, some of the things that I've been doing, I've been following the activities, the new activities, and also the initiative taken by our university, and I'm very thankful for that. There's so many things that are carried out by the university to reach out to each students out there, which I am very much supportive of. My question is, we have social media there. I've seen from Twitter right to Facebook. I really like the whole idea of advertising, trying to get in touch with our students. But can we also advertise via radio station and also via our television media? The reason why I'm here in the village, and there's a lot of students who are from FNU this side. I know they are not fully aware of the initiative taken by the university. Some of them, when I asked them, their answers or their reply was like, "Oh, it's like that. Oh, oi. So the learning is like this. So we can do this." So from that point, from the answers that they are providing, I concluded that most of them weren't aware, even though all of them are on Facebook, but and they aren't being tapped from the location where they are. And most of these people, due to the geographical locations that we have, in some places only, I'm standing here on a hillside, so I need to do this for me to access a good internet connectivity. But no, some of the places, almost all the places here, radio and television as provided by our Fijian government, Walisi, the Walisi television or the Walisi platform is some of the, which I agree with our student president, Mr. Ketan Lal, is a totally brilliant idea. And of course, it'll reach out to the students who are the vulnerable ones, who are not accessible or do not have that good internet connectivity or access to internet. And the question is, can the university provide to provide an alternative advertising via radio and also via television regarding the access, them accessing their learning. Vinaka.
Thank you, James. I think Dr. Deepak Prasad would like to answer that question.
Hey, James, thank you for your wonderful suggestion. Unfortunately, radio seems to be a forgotten technology, but let's not forget that old is gold. This is something that the center has been exploring, and we are pretty serious about it. And we are in consultation with the university at the moment, and one radio station at least, I can tell you for now, and we are exploring the possibilities of at least getting community announcements out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
Madam, sorry, I apologize if I'll be a nuisance to this program. This is a question posed by not one, but some of the resident students, our hostel students from Natambo, and not only that, in our central division as well. The question is, can we open up our ICT lab? Is there any possibility of opening up? The reason why they're asking is most of them do not have accessibility to, or do not own a laptop or access to a laptop. Is there any possibility that the university can open up its ICT labs? Naka.
Mr. Shivnesh Lal, Mr. Ketan would like to say something.
Yeah, either way, Shivnesh can also say that. I can also just chip in with the comment. I think what we must focus right now is the government's directives and the restrictions of MOH and the situation that our staffs are in right now. I think FNU IC departments cannot open labs, or we cannot risk opening labs, is because we do not want much movement. And I understand students do require that assistance. They need to use our labs, but it will pose a risk to our ICT staffs, and some of our ICT staffs may be in different containment zones, which they cannot come in and assist. And at the same time, we need to also understand that how many students are we going to allow to come in or move in? How are we going to categorize that movement? There's a lot of issues involved in this logistics. So I think we just need to wait till the government gives a clear go ahead. The right movement is allowed and university can open. But right now, I think the university is also following the directives of Fiji Higher Education Commission. So I mean, as FNU say, I should be supporting what students want, but at the end of the day, we need to put our emotions aside and think very strategically with the clear directives from the experts such as the Ministry of Health and also our regulator, which is FHEC. So at a certain point, we understand where students' issues are, but here we have to look at a very equal perspective that how many students are we going to allow to come on board and use our ICT labs, how many staffs are available to step in and assist during these hard times. I mean, these are some of the logical questions or critical questions that we really need to think about. And I think this step the university is taking, closing of campus, was used last year as well. And the previous vice chancellor and now and PVC learning teaching also, if they remember the discussion, we had this discussion with the government in one place. The PVC and the VC, former VC, took this initiative where we wanted to talk with the government and ask if there could be a subsidized amount where students can directly purchase, we can purchase laptops for students, and there can be a subsidized amount from the students' allowances they get from TELS or NTS. So these were some of the discussions that were happening, but a long time, I think it was shelved because there was a lot of issues, issues involved with that. And I think the PVC will be able to add on if I have said something out of the contrary here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
No, you haven't said anything out of turn there. You're absolutely right. We did have what seemed to be some positive responses from TSLB, but then they were bogged down in all sorts of legal issues, and then in a sense, what happened is that things took over and we weren't able to pursue this. We did actually get to the point of advertising for tenders for the laptops, but apparently it was something to do with the student would need to be give permission and so on. So it's not something that has not been mentioned again. I have mentioned this to the current Vice Chancellor too, and I don't think it's off the table. Unfortunately, it didn't work at that particular time. But the point I want to make is that, remember, James, I said to you that I said to everybody here that the university is fully aware that in a situation like this, for connectivity purposes or device purposes, there is a need to be accessing the labs. That is fully recognized by the university. So no one is going to be penalized because at this stage, the ICT are not able to open up the labs and allow students to go in there. So no one will be penalized because they were not able to access the labs. That is a perfectly reasonable reason why people cannot continue or pursue the studies as they would like, or a delay in assessments or whatever it happens to be. So bear that in mind. There's going to be no penalty because the labs are not available to you at this time.
Thank you, Professor Pounder and Ketan, for clarifying on that. Mr. Shivnesh Lal, would you like to contribute to the discussion?
Thank you, Madhu. It has actually clearly been justified from Ketan and Dr. James. Yeah, we have to follow government protocols as well. Also, as I said earlier, the arrangements have been done, can be made from the colleges if they reach out to the executive officers regarding the gadgets they require for the learning purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lal. So as much as we would like to continue discussing all the issues that are out there, we are bound by time constraints and we will have to bring this webinar to an end. So thank you everyone for your views and your contributions and questions and answers. And I would like to request my co-host Nalini to move a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Madhu. First of all, I would like to extend our hearty gratitude towards Professor Pounder, Teaching and Learning, who has taken time from his busy schedule to share his words of advice and encouragement to our students. Thank you, Professor, once again, and we really appreciate your time and your presence on board. Thank you once again. We are also immensely grateful to Ms. Sasha Ruggiero for taking out her valuable time and for providing her expert advice to our students on the current situation. So thank you very much, Ms. Sasha. Also, thank you to our counselor, Ms. Kantamani, for your apt and timely advice on mental issues during this very important but challenging time. Also, thank you, Mr. Shivnesh Lal, for your valuable and suggestions and contributions in solving the ICT-related questions. Thank you also to Mr. Ketan Lal for your valuable contribution in solving students' issues and problems, and also the brilliant work FNU SA is doing. We are also indeed thankful to our international student. Unfortunately, he could not join, but he did provide his valuable suggestions during the other dry runs we had. So we brought out those issues to you today. Also to our PEL leaders, Krishan, Akeneta, Elisha, and Farani Sese, for all the challenges you people faced during the pandemic. You shared it very aptly, and you also suggested and shared with the students so many valuable tips, which I'm sure the students will take heed of it and they will definitely benefit. Also, last but not the least, our deepest appreciation to our Associate Dean, Dr. Deepak Prasad, for for providing us your valuable advice and guidance throughout this webinar. And lastly, thank you to Team CLTE for making this webinar a success. So thank you once again, everybody.
Thank you, Nalini. And thank you, everyone. We are going on a 5-day lockdown, so stay home and stay safe. Thank you.